I'm Liz Spain, designer of Incredible Expeditions Quest for Atlantis. This game has got deck building, resource management, and exploration rolled up into one beautiful package. Well, not exactly. This is the prototype. It's ugly as hell, and for that I apologize. But if you want to see the mock-ups of some of the actual cards, they're really pretty. We've put a lot of work into finding awesome illustrators and giving the game a really distinctive Art Nouveau feel. So I'm going to show you a bit of how Incredible Expeditions is played. In Incredible Expeditions, you play the leader of an expedition, trying to make their way through a number of mysterious locations to be the first to reach the drowned city of Atlantis, which is trapped in the ice of Antarctica. Each expedition leader has different skills. For example, the Baroness Alexandra is already a famous explorer. People are willing to take a pay cut to work on her crew, and she starts the game with a butler. Now, crew are the heart of any expedition. If you lose too many, or they are too weak to be of much use, your trip is going to be really challenging. So, I have my little ship figure here at Port City. This is the place to buy crew and resources, which represent the stuff you have on your ship and the reputation of your expedition leader. To acquire crew and resources, you need money, which represents money, heroism, which is bravery and willingness to sacrifice for the greater good, and skullduggery, or the ability to be clever and sneaky. Now, these tokens you start the game with are really precious. You bid money to get the first turn in a competitive game, and it's generally difficult to get more tokens as the game goes on. However, you can also acquire crew and resources with temporary money, heroism, and skullduggery. To get temporary money, heroism, and skullduggery, you can exhaust crew cards for their values on the card in this corner. And you also play resource cards from your personal deck. All the crew cards, and most of the resource cards, have ability text on them. You have a choice. You can play the card to get the temporary values from the corner of the card, or use that card's ability. For example, the Gentleman's Gentleman allows you to double the values of another crew for the turn. So, you play your resource cards, exhaust your newly hired crew, and maybe even pay a few of your precious tokens to get the new cards, until you're well equipped and ready to venture forth toward Atlantis. When you reach the next location, you flip it over if it hasn't been discovered yet, and do anything that is particular to that location. The volcano of the Angry Goddess here requires you to either pitch one of your crew into the volcano, or face another horrible fate the goddess sends your way. Then, you face encounters at your location. You can't move closer to Atlantis until you defeated the number of encounters required at your location, which in this case is 2. Encounters can be anything from Lovecraftian monsters to a fire in your ship's engines, or crew that have returned from the dead. To defeat the encounters, you have to pay the heroism or skullduggery on the card. Some encounters have this half and half symbol, which means you get to pick which to pay. But you must pay all of that difficulty in your currency of choice. So, what if you can't muster up enough heroism or skullduggery to defeat an encounter? Well, the short answer is that you lose a random crew, and have to roll the die. And you have to be careful, because you might get an encounter that brings all of your lost crew back to haunt your expedition, or a number of other terrible things. Often, leaving an encounter undefeated results in one of your crew becoming cursed, which is far worse. Perhaps the basilisk turns one of your crew to stone, or demonic sirens haunt your crew with nightmares. Unless you can pay the tokens required to clear the curse from your crew, not only are they weakened and generally useless, but they're taking up one of your scarce crew cabins. In the cooperative and solo games, if you are able to make it to Atlantis and defeat the encounters there, you win the game. But it is extra hard because you can't acquire new crew or resources after leaving Port City. In the competitive game, you can stop and rest along the way to get new crew and resource cards, but since you're racing to Atlantis, you're losing precious time. So really, Incredible Expeditions plays like 2 different games. At the beginning, at Port City, you're building your deck and buying nasty crew and resources to cripple your opponents. But then you leave Port City and things get serious. Now your planning skills get tested by the encounters you must face. Maybe you didn't have enough heroism at your disposal, or your plan to throw money at your problems got thwarted when rats took over your ship. They are notoriously hard to pay off. Point is, Incredible Expeditions is a game that takes some long-term strategic planning, but there's always a chance you'll run into something you're entirely unprepared for. It's also a game about creating stories. Perhaps you'll be exploring an ancient forgotten factory, and your engineer falls ill and begins turning into a machine, and then you get attacked by an insane robot. That kind of stuff can happen. The world is a strange and wondrous place. If you have more questions about the game, don't hesitate to ask. I'm usually pretty quick at answering questions on the Kickstarter campaign page. The journey toward making this game has been amazing so far, and I look forward to getting there with all my awesome backers that have lent their support. Thanks.